This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
When do you think the whole relationship with Bryan and the Undertaker started to become a thing? Was it right away when he comes in 90? I mean, when you show up in 93, are they already thick as thieves?
Well, they're friends, Taker is a smart guy, as we know. You can't have his longevity as a star and on top of the card for as many years as he has done uh, without being smart in who you work with and the kind of match you try to work with them. So, in other words, when Undertaker worked with Shawn Michaels, they'd have an entirely different match than Undertaker would have with anybody else, for example. Then, we brought in Mick Foley to work with the Undertaker. That was a different kind of match. So I think Taker looked at Crush as, hey, here's a big guy that I can sell for, believably sell for, because he's big and powerful. The boys knew how athletic he was, and all that stuff. So I just think Taker was just looking out for his next great opponent that he could draw money with and go to the bank. I think that's what that was. But along the way, again, as I referenced just a moment ago, Crush was such a nice guy in the locker room area, from what I observed, that he was hard to not want to do business with because, he connected with the people. So I think that's the deal there. Taker looking for another dancing partner, and he thought he found one in Crush.
Let's talk about when he does come back, because he comes back in a big spot. When he's back at the Rumble in 95, he comes in as number 30, which has always been a big deal. He's going to help throw out the smoking guns with Shawn Michaels. He'll throw out Adam Bomb, Fatu, and even Lex Luger. He's even down to the final four. Davey Boy's going to throw him out, and Crush finishes third in this Rumble for a guy who hadn't been seen on TV since like the summer. This is kind of crazy, right? It feels like, all right, we're going to try one more time. And I think the rumor and innuendo at this time was that because he's now such a tight friend of the Undertaker, that maybe he's pushing for him a little bit. And there may have even been the idea of, hey, what about WrestleMania in 95, Undertaker versus Crush? Do you know if that was ever discussed?
It probably was if Mark was trying to get Crush back. It just shows you that Mark Calloway has got great character and integrity for trying to help a friend on more than one occasion. Again, Mark Calloway saw the same thing that many of us saw in Bryan Adams: unlimited potential. But potential doesn't buy the groceries.
That's right.
And so, but I admire Mark Calloway's loyalty. Always have. He's a man of integrity. He wanted to help a friend. There's nothing wrong with wanting to help a friend, but at some point, you got to fish or cut bait. And at some point, the realization was, hey, we've done all we can do. He just doesn't seem to be motivated to want to get to that next level in the way that we perceive that he has the ability to do. And so, but that was the Taker thing. That was Taker facilitating him back. And I'm sure they had many conversations. Hey, brother, I'm need the money and the family, blah, blah, blah. And Taker's the kind of guy that would help a friend. So I think that's the root of this whole story right here, is that Taker and Savage, when he was more prominent there in WWE, Taker and those two guys were the campaign managers for Crush, and they did all they could to get him, quote unquote, elected. But the people didn't vote for it. The fans didn't vote for it. They saw something that should be great because of his size and ability and quick feet, agility, et cetera, but they weren't buying him.
Yeah, let's keep it moving because we're gonna get there. We should mention that in late November, Meltzer would write, Jarrett was supposed to wrestle Crush, although Jarrett kept calling him Chains. Jarrett complained that in his contract he was supposed to get a catered meal and bottled water, and how McMahon is not living up to that. And Meltzer would editorialize here, trying to symbolize how Bret Hart was a heel crying about his contract. And Jeff didn't want to wrestle Chains because he didn't think he was at his level. Kane winds up coming out and destroying Crush and doing the no-sell spots. So Kane destroys Crush here. I guess this is Crush's last known appearance. And Meltzer would write the next week, Crush was out of action this weekend due to jamming his neck in the angle with Kane on November 24th. In actuality, he's been involved in a contract dispute. I don't know the particulars. Either they want to renegotiate his contract for less money, or his contract is coming due and they're offering him less money to stay. Either way, he's not happy. And I'd say it's a solid bet that he may be leaving for you know where. Not that it's any kind of major acquisition or anything. They're going to push Chains now as the leader of the DOA. What can you tell us about the contract dispute here? Is it just him sort of being upset with his push at the Montreal thing? He wants more money. Maybe he has been back channeling to Macho. What say you?
Oh, I think he knew that the end was near. I mean, my God, you have to be a Mensa member to figure out that all these opportunities that were provided, WrestleMania matches, Savage, WrestleMania 10, working with the Undertaker. I mean, my goodness, he's given chance after chance. So I think that he's a smart enough guy to realize that things weren't looking good. I think that Randy Savage had a big influence on it because Randy still was loyal and Brian Adams' friend. And of course, it's not hard to sell to a promoter that may not be totally familiar with Brian, that he's, 6'6" or 6'7", where the hell he was, big guy, looked good, and all that stuff. So I think it was Brian realized that the handwriting was on the wall, and I think he was looking to make sure that, he had a place to go, and Savage was going to help facilitate that with down in WCW. So I don't know that we ever had any serious intention, Conrad, of re-signing him. I think we were willing, out of respect to Savage and his era, and of course the patriarch of the locker room, the Undertaker, how we would not show some respect there and just let the contract expire. I don't believe we ever let him on. Vince had given Brian every chance that he could. And I don't know that there was anything more that we could do objectively to make it work for Brian, unfortunately, because you look at he got all these second chances because he was on the right side of the aisle in the locker room with everybody. Nice man. And he had those intangibles that you can't coach. You can't coach size. You either got it or you don't.
Well, we know that he's going to wind up heading out of here by the end of the month. Skull and 8 Ball have been signed to new contracts, but Crush is officially released and expected to go to WCW. As you know, he does show up. He forms a tag team over there with the other Brian. It's a Brian Clark, the former Adam Bomb. They become Chronic. And fast forward towards the end of 2001, I guess sometime in September, Meltzer would write, Undertaker versus Stevie Richards never got started because Chronic, who just signed this past week, showed up and gave Undertaker a beating. He sold for them. I could see taking a chance on Brian Clark, even though he sucked in WCW this last time. But Brian Adams was, with the possible exception of Stevie Ray, the worst wrestler in either of the big two this past year. For those of you wanting to be wrestlers, just remember, if you're tall and have a good body, once they see you, unless you're a total dickhead like Lex Luger or Sid, it'll take at least 20 second chances if you look like them. You'll always get a look, because even if you totally stink, the promoter sees you in street clothes and is more impressed than a guy who can work rings around you and get over with the crowd. Think of all those guys like Jarrett who are sitting at home, and then they hire Adams. At least Undertaker sold for them huge, so that was a great introduction with Impact. Undertaker and Kane versus Chronic. Wow. So Chronic comes in here. This is during the invasion angle. Undertaker pulling for his pal again, but Dave, once again, really stiff on Crush here. The real life Brian Adams. What did you think of Dave's write up here?
Well, I think Dave he had his own beliefs. Might've been, as you said, stiff, a little too stiff on his assessment of this guy. But he was honest. He gave you his honest opinion, did Meltzer, whether you agreed with it or you didn't agree with it. It was another Undertaker loyalty. Get him. Hey, look, he's repackaged. He's got a tag team partner. Kane and I need big heels, and they did. One of the reasons I recruited Glenn Jacobs, the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee, right now, to come to WWE after I saw him as a Unabomber in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, was because I saw a future opponent for the Undertaker that could match up physically with him. Again, having a 7-foot babyface selling, they got to sell for the proper fit. Kane, I thought size-wise, was going to be a proper fit. He's proved that many times over. Another Hall of Fame guy, without question. But Taker saw, hey, look, Vince they've got a tag partner. He can work with Kane and I. We can sell for them. I think we can get them over. So that's where Vince was. Vince was loyal to his talents, whereas he would listen to a lot of the talents. And I don't know if that's the case today. I'm not there, and I'm happy I'm not. But and not just pissing on them. I love my job with Tony Khan and AEW. It's a better deal for me, better fit for JR. Is all I'm saying. But I think that's what Taker went back to the old man. The old man still loves Undertaker this very day, as he should. His loyalty and his productivity, his leadership was unquestioned. So it was okay. Let's do Mark a favor. Let's do Mark another favor.
Right.
And try this combination of this presentation, and maybe, just maybe, it will get over. If we don't try it, we'll never know.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.